Why, hello. I'm Scott, and this is Tales from the Film Set. And actually, you know what? I'm going to do it a little bit differently, just for the heck of it. And welcome to Zingo TV channel 249 and 250 as we discuss horror on Tales from the Film Set. Like I said, I'm Scott. Alongside me is also Rob and Ryan. Make sure you rate and download the Zingo TV app on the app stores of iOS and Android devices. When you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. All apps are free. Both apps are free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 and forward. Anyway, how you doing? Just wanted to try something
I'm
a little
sorry,
different.
no. You trying to do the Kubrick stare is no, come on.
But anyway, hope you guys are doing well out there. Back to normal things here. Alongside me, as always, is Rob Leckington and also Mr. Ryan O'Regan. And today, we're talking Ghostbusters, and Ghostbusters, and Ghostbusters, and Real Ghostbusters, and Ghostbusters 2, and Extreme Ghostbusters, and Ghostbusters Afterlife.
To be fair, I think the second to last one, Ghostbusters Answer the Call, if you want to be specific.
Okay. Well, I always knew it as straight up Ghostbusters, but I mean, okay, if you want to be really strict, the original Ghostbusters on the top left of the screen was the Ghostbusters.
Yes.
With Forrest Tucker and Larry Storch from F Troop fame, which launched this entire franchise without people realizing it. So, but gentlemen, how you guys doing?
Well, after that creepy opening that you had for us, which I could not take seriously, I apologize. It's hard to be scared when you see a method actor doing the method acting thing.
That's true, yeah. Well, it usually freaks out the boss upstairs, but
yes, but all's good. And since we are like 2 weeks away from Halloween, it does feel appropriate to be talking about this.
Yeah, so basically 2 weeks away from Halloween. So we will also be discussing Halloween. But yeah, like I said, in this case here, I thought about this yesterday. Rob and I were talking a little bit, and I'm like, when I got to go to get a sandwich yesterday, there, I saw the trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I'm like, you know what? We need to do a little bit of a Ghostbusters, convo, maybe a small deep dive to a degree, because at this point, like I said, there's a lot of Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
And most of which typically have the name Ghostbusters. So, all right, show of hands, how many of the top row do you guys remember?
I'm going to be honest, man. I just remember the original one, and then the more recent one that they did just a few years ago with the women.
Megan McCarthy and
Melissa
McCarthy, sorry. So
it's probably best just to say Ghostbusters 2016.
Okay.
So this way we don't sound like the Lady Busters or anything like that, or anything.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. It was actually a pretty cool show.
With Thor in it.
It was a pretty good movie, I thought.
It was okay. I mean, you have to mentally separate it from the original, and I think that's the problem with a lot of reboots right now, where you can't instinctively remove your thoughts and your emotions of the original product.
Well, see, now there you go. We're talking about this new one that's coming out, and I saw the trailer. To me, I can't really get into it. More of the fact that because I'm into the campiness of the original, and whereas like with this new one, it's got that sort of creepy vibe to it, and I don't know. I mean, I guess I'd have to really see it once or twice to really kind of get the full flavor of it. But personally, I don't think I could get into a creepy Ghostbuster.
A horror Ghostbuster.
Horror Ghostbusters, right.
Ryan, how about you, Ryan?
Well, first to answer your question, I have seen pretty much all of that, with maybe the exception of the Ghostbusters, the Larry Storch version, because I've never seen any episodes of the original show. I know it existed because I watched Funimation's Ghostbusters, and at the time, that was the goofy, campy one, and the real Ghostbusters was the scary one, because the creatures that they came up with for Real Ghostbusters, outside of the live-action movie, they were some of the most terrifying things I had ever seen in a cartoon. Like, the Boogeyman alone, with his mullet and his pointy nose and everything. Ooh. Oh, so creepy. And
Yeah.
The animated series have at least followed suit with that. And I would say even Ghostbusters 2 was probably a little bit, creepier than the first one, just because, the slime and the, child abduction, it's heavier feats.
Mhm.
But as far as campy, I would say the Funimation stuff was the campy stuff.
Yeah.
I've saying that the new one is going to be like, too serious or too scary.
Yeah.
That's by our sensitivities. You can't judge how people necessarily find things scary now because we are so much more
Well,
desensitized, I would
true.
say. We're not all candy butts like some people above us.
Now I'm looking at least the trailer itself and noticing like they have a lot of like darkness and sort of grittiness to the video, and I don't know whether or not that would be the full film. Maybe they just did that just for the trailer, but based on the trailer alone, I don't really know if I can go get into a more creepier, scarier Ghostbusters. So
Well, it's his. I mean, it's Jason Reitman's movie, but trying to basically pay homage to his father.
Right.
His father was the original Ghostbusters in this case, so he's trying to do the right thing, not only for him, for his father, but also for himself as well, to kind of create his own identity as a love letter to his father. So, I think in this case, you do have to modernize it a little bit because the campiness factor might not apply for today's audiences. I mean,
Yeah,
if
you
you look
look at the one that came before it, and you look at the 2016.
too campy.
Talk about camp. Wow, they leaned way heavier on comedic aspects than
Yeah,
say the
sure.
first two live action did. So I think that's maybe why they're doing it like this, because they're trying to make sure that they separate themselves from that movie, and that people who are maybe interested in Ghostbusters will go to it, and people that were turned off by the
Mhm.
2016 movie will still see this as something different.
Which
Well, yeah, no, I'd definitely check it out at least. I'd see it maybe once just to really kind of get the full flavor. But I mean, as far as the creepiness, the grittiness,
Mhm.
to me personally, that's not really a Ghostbusters type film.
fair. Now, in this case, you got Finn Wolfhard playing the role that. Nice, nice. I collect
I'm
spores,
sorry,
You
mold,
got
and
that
I know
delivery
this whole-
earlier today, right?
I collect spores, mold, and fungus. Listen, do you smell something?
No, but I like that they're still connecting to Spangler.
Mhm.
He really was like my favorite out of the four, just because he would say some of the most ridiculous things about by being like deadpan serious.
Yep.
Like he was the only one who was actually in the game. Ray
Yeah.
was like a little child. Venkman was there for the money and the women.
I'll do it. Yeah, we'll do anything as long as I get a paycheck.
And then poor Zedmore, he was just like,
And then
I
like,
don't believe
yeah,
any of this, but I've seen it.
but it's funny because in this one upcoming, you got Finn Wolfhard playing the same thing he basically did in Stranger Things, kind of Adam's Family. It's like Finn Wolfhard has like one role and he just does it every single time and it works.
Hey man, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, again, I don't think it's necessarily his movie. I think he's pretty
No.
much more playing like he's basically playing the Venkman, as far
Yeah.
as it looks. He's playing the Venkman, and McKenna Grace, I think, is the girl.
Mhm.
She is the Spangler. She is the lead.
Mhm.
So everything that's going to be like revealed to us is through her, and then I think her friend that she makes, the little Asian kid, that's basically going to be like the Ray.
Mhm.
He's just going to be like wowed and bewildered by everything.
And it's the same basic thing. I mean, even Ghostbusters 2016 had that. You got the scientist type, you got the goofy, blue collar type, and it's the same basic dynamic. Moving from damn it, drawing a blank.
Come on, you got it.
Oh God, oh my God, I can't. All right, never mind. I'm drawing. It's been an early start today, so me not use brain good talk thinkness. It'll come to me. But
Now, what I will say, I like the idea of it being a younger cast, because out of all the things that you have here on the board, not
Mhm.
enough love has been given to Extreme Ghostbusters.
I was just going to bring that up, by the way. So if we can pull this picture up in the meantime, thanks. Basically, it's a closer version of that. I literally had that image saved because I wanted to get your thoughts. But go ahead, please.
Yeah. Now, if you want to talk about like diversity,
Mm-hmm.
that was diversity. Not only was it led by Spengler,
Mm-hmm.
but it pretty much had a handy-capable Ghostbuster, a Hispanic Ghostbuster, a Black Ghostbuster, an emo goth chick Ghostbuster. I'm like, and still you had Spengler and Slimer and Janine and all these connections to the original animated series, and it was still just as creepy, if not maybe more so in some cases, because the opening 2 episodes I think are probably very deep compared to the original series. Because don't forget, the original series ended up becoming like a little more cartoony as it went on, so much so that Slimer got a spinoff.
Yes, that's right. You did Slimer and the Real Ghostbuster.
Yeah, I love me some Slimer, but I can only take so much.
Well, it's funny because I think there was an episode of Real Ghostbusters where they explained, basically what happened immediately after Zool. There was a flashback. Venkman discussed what happened after the fact that led to them, continuing on, which included actually Slimer joining them, and it was a really neat tie-in from Ghostbusters 1 to the animated series. And I thought it was a very clever approach.
And actually, I almost wonder if they're going to use any of that in this new movie, which looks like it's connecting right back to Zool and Gozer and all that. When you look at the few scenes with the devil dogs and the temple that seems to have like the destroyer all carved out.
Now, here's the problem that I have with a little bit of that. There's so much when you have a new movie like this, and I'm going to use Home Alone 162 in this case. There's so much callback and pullback to like first movie. I mean, Doug Walker, Nostalgia Critic, was always like first movie, and as the general callback where you see something that you remember, and it's just like pluck this clip, pluck this scene, pluck this, pluck, and then eventually you're just like pluck off, and you kind of get burned out by that. And that's where I'm a little concerned with this one, where it's going to be too nostalgic heavy and not be its own identity.
I don't know if it's going to be necessarily too nostalgic heavy. I mean, yes, the little mini Stay Puft Marshmallow Man was a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I was okay with that part.
But as far as the actual ghouls and ghosts and things that are going to be like bumping in the night here, it kind of makes sense. Don't forget, this is going to be something that's still within the wheelhouse of Ghostbusters 1 and 2. Which means if this is the whole reason that Spengler went out to live in the countryside in the first place, it will have some connection to the grand thing that brought them together, which was Gozer and Zool and all that. There's got to be some reason that, he would want to go ahead and stay out there and away from everybody. And it's probably because it has that deep connection to the first big bad that they ever had to deal with, that they thought that was gone, but apparently is not. As far as saying it like that, you could almost put that one in with 1 and 2 and make it an honest trilogy.
Well, up until now, I think the PlayStation 2 game was the closest thing you had to Ghostbusters 3.
Yes.
You had all the original cast in there, with the exception of like Rick Moranis. But I'm going to call it right now, since we have Extreme Ghostbusters on screen. There is going to be some nod somewhere to that series. I'm calling it right now. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something where you're going to look at that and there's going to be an Easter egg tied to this series here.
I would hope so, because for the longest time when they always said that they were going to make another movie, I was hoping it was based on this, because I really liked the characters that they developed in it.
It's like you said,
it was the most kind of expansion they had ever gotten since, the sequel movie. So the fact that this is kind of like probably going to, it's probably going to be like the non-canon Star Wars books, how they influenced, but they're not really it.
Are you talking like Yuzan Vong and The Emperor's Resurrection? What I consider to be canon, while the Disney stuff is not canon.
Right, and except as far as Disney is concerned, their canon is canon because that's the one that makes money. Hopefully.
Yeah, well, but I mean,
again, sorry Disney, I know you're technically owned by us, but still.
All right. Now, the reason I wanted to also bring this up, since you said Spengler was your favorite character, were you okay with Spengler with a ponytail? Because extreme.
Look, for anyone that aged in that era, like that 90s era, I wasn't surprised.
Hmm.
I mean, that was basically any guy of that age bracket trying to make themselves feel like, lively. They all did ponytails. Hopefully, I don't do it when I get to that age myself. But it made sense for the time period it was set in.
Never had the ponytail, but I tried to grow it out. The best that I got was a really dumb looking mullet. I got the hair was long enough. I could like wrap it into my ears and everything like that. And I couldn't actually tie it together, but if I tied it on both sides, I could do it. Make
Right.
pigtails out of it. That I could have done. But,
Now, if you asked me how did I feel about Spangler being portrayed as a platinum blonde, that irks me a little.
do you know why? I'm sure you know why, though, right? Harold Ramis.
Why they
Harold
changed him
Ramis
in the
said he
animated
didn't want-
series?
Harold Ramis said he didn't want the hair color to match.
Right. But you could have made it something other than platinum blonde. It's like it looks like it blended into his skin.
I don't know. Maybe with comparison to what real Ghostbusters was. But
Make it chocolate or chestnut, or make him redhead, give him blue streaks. I don't know.
well, see, you can't do redhead in this case because you had Ray as a redhead.
Is he though? I mean, compared to Janine, he's not.
Hmm.
Like Janine was
but
like red.
I'm saying of the core four, I guess we'll call it. If pull this picture up here, you see the four of them right from the intro, which by the way that intro was classic.
Yeah, see, I would say like Venkman was like definitely raven haired, and I would say Ray was more of like a chestnut. I love how we're talking about animated hair here.
Was it a chestnut or was it more of a maroon? What was the hex on it? What was the RGB on this one here? I mean, you see the four of them there. The blonde really sets apart from everybody else. That's why I think it worked.
Where have we gone with this?
Well, speaking as a guy who has hair like this,
I feel like I just got slimed, and I'm hearing higher and higher, and my mind is just elated.
See, you got your hair, and I got no hair.
Yeah, but see, you can pull off the look, though. I can't. I remember I had many a first date, where women are like, "Oh, I like your hair," and then they find out that there's like nothing up top. And it's like, "Oh, I like your hair."
Yeah.
It's like, and then I would never have a second date with them because that would be like the deal breaker. Because I'm supposedly big gaping bald spots is a huge, massive turnoff for a lot of women. But you know what? Here's what I'm going to say though. Of the series, the Filmation Ghostbusters from '86 does deserve, I think, more love than it gets, because truthfully told, that was the original Ghostbusters. That was a spin-off of the original Lou Scheimer live-action series. So technically, that is the true Ghostbusters, not the
Actually,
real
it was a direct continuation, considering the two guys involved are the sons
Correct.
of Storch and his character.
Yeah, it was basically the two characters, by the way, were Spencer and Tracy. So
yes,
I forgot which one
very
was
classy.
Yeah, but like I said, I think it deserved more love than it got. And I'm sorry, as campy and terrible as that intro is, I love the hell out of it. Let's go.
The music does sit with you.
What's that?
The music sits with you for sure.
It does.
It's not as iconic as Who You Gonna Call, but I would say it works better for that kind of show because they do like the whole little Sailor Moon-esque montage scene whenever they transform into their outfits.
Same thing every time. Yeah.
It works for something like that. It does, especially when you're talking about Filmation, which played up He-Man and She-Ra and all those types of shows. That really was more about the spectacle than the story sometimes. And mind you, it had some story. It had like an ongoing story from like episode to episode that like crossed time streams, and there was a whole zone of just ghosts, that the Fright Zone, I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah, Primeval was the main boss.
Yeah, with his robot, with a futuristic ghost, no less, a ghost from the future.
Hey, you
wrap your head around that for a second.
Transcends time. Einstein said time is an illusion. So,
well, so were some of the specters.
Yeah,
but you had the hunter ghost. You had the werewolf. You had that bagpipey little henchman of his.
You had that little tiny one that went.
Yeah, the one all muttly and everything, but it sounded like he had asthma.
But I mean, it's funny because Filmation is best known for like He-Man and She-Ra. So nobody remembers that they did this too.
Hmm.
That was their follow-up to She-Ra and He-Man.
Okay.
So
There you have it.
Who knows? Maybe if the He-Man stuff on Netflix goes well enough, they'll do a remake of this in order to
by the way,
try to
which
cash in.
He-Man? There's like 9 of them on Netflix now.
Yes,
Wow.
Which
with
He-Man?
the
Yeah,
second part of Kevin Smith's version, I think, coming out in November.
something like that. Yeah, and by that point, I'm not sure if anybody cares that much because they were so pissed off about. I know we talked about this once before, but if they had at least killed off He-Man in episode 5 as a cliffhanger, that would have, I think, gone over a lot better. Because then you'd be like, "Holy hell!" Because you would never have expected that one, and that would be your cliffhanger.
I'd say that what they've done so far is good. I mean,
Hmm.
mind you, whenever we've seen Skeletor get the power of the Eternia, he didn't turn into like this giant gold statue with a staff, a la Frank Langella, but it still looked good.
We did. Yeah, that's right. We did a He-Man episode. I did something similar, like I did with Ghostbusters, where I had like every single He-Man side by side. I think I did that.
Yeah. For as much as we talk about stuff on Tales from the Film Set, we definitely like our animation around here.
Well, dude, honestly, if it was up to me, I mean, if it wouldn't be acting, I'd rather do voice work. And not because of the locale of just being like Source Connect, sit here on my ass, record stuff, but it would be like that animated niche. I remember I had auditioned for a villain role in Paw Patrol, and it would have been one of those things that I would be like, I so want this so badly. And I micromanaged the living hell out of my audition to try and do like every, even over the top sort of voice. I will destroy your Paw Patrol, and I did all this kind of stuff. And I never got a call back. So I never, but anyway, but holy hell, if I had something like that, that would make me so freaking happy.
Well, they do voiceover auditions on TikTok.
Do they now?
Yeah, there's particularly one brand called Saturday Morning TV, who go ahead and take like South Korean animated anime or animated shows and redubs them for American audiences. So they've done in a couple of shows already where they've gone ahead and they've put it on TikTok. Hey, these are the lines we want you to read, and you can go ahead and audition for them, since it's like little short clippets. And people have been cast. They've even gotten the likes of John Bailey to help them out with one of their shows.
Okay.
So,
well, John Bailey's, remarkably well known in the YouTube community, and also sort of in the regular community.
Yeah. No, I mean, as far as like voiceover work is concerned, he's definitely one of the more prolific names. And actually, they're running auditions right now for another one, which is kind of like a cartoony, I guess, kaiju-esque sort of like comedy show.
Okay.
I actually just did an audition for them.
And asking for a friend, what was the name of that TikTok again?
It's Saturday Morning TV, or SMTV for short. They have a YouTube channel that you can also go ahead and check out the stuff once the voice acting has been put to film.
Okay.
But they are currently running auditions for the show Anchovy, which is about robotic fish characters. I know it's Ancho and then like dash V, so it's like all anime-esque. And they are running the auditions, I believe, until the 22nd or so. I think they're running 2 a day. I just did one of the henchmen last night. Still seeing if there's any other characters I can do, because it's mostly like younger and like maybe a couple of older characters. And
like TikTok in general.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean that's why it's good to get some fresh faces in there. It's able to. The established people aren't necessarily on there unless you're someone like John Bailey, who just like goes ahead and does whatever he wants to because he's John Bailey, and he actually beat me out for the role on the last one. So I'm not disgruntled. I'm not disgruntled at all. I'm not angry. I'm not doing it. I'm but no, all good.
Right. I got this. Out with the bad air, in with the good. Out with the bad air. Yes.
I'm good. I'm
a leaf on a stream.
But I would recommend checking it out if you can.
I plan to. I'm a douchey scummy Fight Corp POS, so I can play both sides of that fence.
All right, sounds good.
All right. So we are about 25 minutes in at this point. As always, you can find us on Tales from the Film Set on Instagram and also on Facebook. And guess what? On Twitter, it's Film Set Tales. 15 characters, how we flip it around. Now, it's high time, basically, because guess what? It's Halloween, less than 2 weeks away. And speaking of Halloween, there's another Halloween movie. Speaking of 177 movies, Halloween.
If you can call it that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's no giant pumpkins in this one, though.
Well, really, that's not necessarily true. There is at least one pumpkin shot, but
Yeah, but you know what I mean. The magic
I
pumpkin.
know. But
Well,
I
see,
don't know.
actually,
Did you guys see it?
I have seen the trailer for it. I haven't seen the movie itself yet.
And did you see it, Robert?
He's speechless right now.
You know, what's up? Can you hear me now?
That was-
Good.
Yes. Yes, we can, sir.
Okay. No, I haven't seen it. No, I haven't. I pretty much I work outside of the show, so I'm pretty busy with other things. I definitely would like to at least see that trailer.
Well, I mean, I ask you because obviously we know Scott is queasy to such things.
Candy ass is a perfect
Right.
phraseology.
Candy ass. That's right. We established that.
Candy ass.
Well, I'm trying to make sure I don't say it because you know how I am with censors. You give me the A word and I may go running rampant. So
S.
don't tempt me, damn it.
But this is
anyways,
the 12th movie in the franchise.
Being someone who has seen the movie and obviously saw the continuation / reboot / remake that happened a few years ago, I didn't like it.
Okay.
No.
And here's the problem that I see with stuff like this. Now, if you're making a horror franchise, and this is just based upon what I've seen from other franchises, you don't necessarily set up a particular narrative in the movies. You know, each movie is pretty much an entity unto themselves.
Mhm.
And that will either make or break the scares or the gore that happens in them. Now there may be maybe a couple of differences in that. You will look at something like Saw,
Mhm.
and certainly the Saw franchise had its building storyline, but after a while it's like, okay, we can't keep continuing this and make it make sense. So at that point, every entity still needs to be a little bit gruesome, a little bit more intense than the next. You look at Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. All pretty much the same scenario, same blocking and setup in every movie, but each one was an entity unto themselves.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you have a he ha 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 for Jason. Freddy would probably have like, this claw just scratching up against metal as it came by, whatever. But when you go ahead and you actually make a franchise and you're doing something where there is an actual beginning and a middle and an end, but you're stretching that across 3 movies as opposed to keeping it all in one movie, that's where you lose me, because I am instantly going to think that the second movie is filler.
Mhm.
That it has nothing to do with what happened in the first movie. It's just trying to build off of that. There will be no crescendo. There will be no ending because you have to leave it for the third one. So you're basically making the second movie inconsequential.
Mhm.
That's what happened with this.
Okay.
Yeah, there were plenty of bodies strewn about, but it really said nothing.
Mhm.
It wasn't even a decent slasher film to that respect because
Really?
the priorities of Michael Myers are a little bit skewed now.
Okay.
But he has had priorities. Let's face it. He's had ulterior motives. He's had things that he's been trying to do and want to do, whether it be with Laurie or not. But
Mhm.
at this point, it's like it's like you're taking the venom out of the snake now.
Okay.
It was one thing when Michael Myers was pretty much just this person that was hard to kill, but killed well.
Mhm.
Now he's going through this damn movie like a cartoon character. They riddle him with bullets, but he jumps back up. He comes out of a burning building, almost unscathed, and pretty much runs roughshod through an entire crew of firefighters, people with axes and stuff. He runs through them.
Well, they did that with Friday the 13th too, where after a while it wasn't like the suspense of trying to kill. It was
But
just
the
like he
difference
warmed
is
up.
that Jason Voorhees is essentially a supernatural entity, much in the same way that Freddy is. Mike Myers, for as much as we've seen him in other movies, has usually always been portrayed as just a man.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's superhuman. So it pretty much makes, trying to nerf him or trying to take him out, trying to have some sort of ending to him, benign.
There will never be an ending as long as there's money.
That's true.
And by the way, the next one that comes out next year will be the 13th movie in the franchise, which overtakes Friday the 13th, which is sitting at 12.
Yeah, because the Lord knows they couldn't do anything with the remake that they did. Same thing with Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah. The one that did not have Robert Englund.
No, and all credit to Jackie Earle Haley, but I need those puns sometimes, man. It's like you can't just be a guy with some knife fingers, all right? I need the punny.
There was a certain charm to Robert Englund, and it's funny because if you remember, and I don't know if you do, before he was cast as Freddy Krueger, he was on a miniseries and also a TV show called V.
Yeah, he was like one of the aliens, wasn't he?
He was an alien, but a very, very meek, quiet, very timid sort of alien creature. And, all the aliens in V are basically just, flesh human suits, but they're lizards underneath. Fine. But
the lizard people are real. No.
Yeah. And it was interesting because, like I said, you saw such a soft, malleable character that was bullied a lot, and to go from that to like Freddy Krueger was a pretty stark change.
Well, I guess that's why they were able to go ahead and do it, because he was able to play one extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And from my understanding, when it comes to acting and horror, if you're someone that can pull off an extreme, then you can pull off the other extreme. All right. If you can be meek and timid, then that means you can go wild and ferocious. You have the capability of doing so. It's just a matter of going 180 with the mentality. But still, the amount of energy and the amount of purpose is still there. Right. I don't know if you guys have done much in the horror realm. I've been in a couple of horror shorts where I was the victim, obviously.
I think all of us have died in a horror film or two.
Well, let's see. In one, I pretty much had myself, bitten and gutted by a female vampire-esque type monster. And another one, I pretty much got my head knocked off by a clothesline by, someone Michael Myers-esque. So you actually see my head flying, and then just the blood splurting out from the bottom as I'm blinking to my death.
Okay, that's cool.
I had one. Go ahead.
But again, it's a matter of going to those extremes, And the one, I'm very, meek and timid. And actually, JT is the one that did the one where I was bitten by the vampire. He directed that one. So I'm sure he would go ahead and love me talking about it on his behalf. But
well, if you want to, go ahead.
I mean, it was a nice little short, and our friend Alex was the one who attacked me, and it was very simplistic, And I was while looking around, I saw an attractive girl. Attractive girl brings me into the woods, disappears. I don't think anything of it because I'm an idiot. And before I know it, I fall, knock my head, laying up against a tree. There she is comforting me, and before I know it, blood is dripping onto my shirt.
Which one is it? Sunday Best? No,
that's mine. Don't be confusing our films.
Which movie is it?
Is it
Vagina
what did
Time?
he label it as? I think it was something like Into the Woods or something like of that nature.
Could have been an email, Live from the Dry, Sunday Best. Vagina Time, 28-minute epic. Things in 8-bit, living in 8 bits, lentil soup. And by the way, I want to point out.
Well, if you're looking on the IMDb, that's requiring JT to put that stuff up. I don't think he ever did. I think the only way you'd be able to find it is if you go on his YouTube channel. But talking of extremes, that was me at my most mellow. No dialogue, nothing like that. And then you compare it to the other one where I'm getting my head chopped off. Not even by a weapon, by a clothesline. I basically walk into the guy's arm, and my head goes flying.
Was it
It's
like
like I have no
John
neck
Cena's
bone.
arm or something?
Hmm.
Was it like The Rock's arm, where it's just like just pure muscle in this case?
Essentially, that's what you got to look at it as.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and when they're being quiet or you're being, bloodied and like dying, that sort of thing,
Mhm.
that's what you need for horror. You don't need, middling people. You don't need
Mhm.
people that don't bring anything to the table, because if you do, then you are just cannon fodder,
Yes.
which
Or
is
just
essentially what you got with horror Halloween Kills. You had, Laurie and the family in the hospital recovering from their ordeal, and you had Michael Myers doing his thing. Anybody new that was introduced in this movie, cannon fodder. That's all it was, because that's all they were there for, because that's all they were supposed to do. And if the body count is all just cannon fodder, and the people that are actually driving the story are like nowhere near each other, it's gonna be a boring movie. Because I'm
Because
not
you have
gonna give
no
a damn about any of these people that are being killed.
because you have no emotional investment, in
Exactly. They're
Bob
not
from
bringing, and
Accounting.
because of the characters that they are, they're not bringing the emotional investment into their roles.
Well,
They're
didn't they
just
kill off
there
Laurie?
to die.
Didn't they kill Jamie Lee Curtis in one of the movies and just decided, let's retcon that out?
Oh yeah, no, this was in a film debate of mine. So someone tried to say that was the stupidest kill in horror
Mhm.
franchises, when Michael Myers actually goes ahead and kills Laurie Strode in Halloween Resurrections
Mhm.
after H2O, when she supposedly already decapitated him.
Mhm.
But of course, in the next movie, they play it off as like, oh no, that was an ambulance guy
Mhm.
from Michael Myers' ambulance, and he goes ahead and dresses him up and disguises him, and they take off the mask, and his mouth is all bound and gagged, so that's why he wasn't saying anything. So she goes into a mental institution because she feels terrible about killing an innocent man, knowing that Michael Myers is also still out there, which I thought was kind of brilliant.
Mhm.
I wish they could have played that out in the end of the movie beforehand. But as far as killing Laurie Strode, it's an inevitability.
Mhm.
One of them will die from the other.
Or
And
both.
in fact, before that kill that you actually see on screen, she was already killed off prior.
Mhm. That's what I'm
They,
saying. Yeah.
yeah, they killed her off, I think, non-visually, just
Mhm.
saying that she was killed, I believe, in Halloween 4, when they decided to start bringing Michael Myers back. So,
Well, I mean, it works so well with the Magic Pumpkin in number 3.
right. Well,
Yeah.
you and the Magic Pumpkin in third. Look, the third one was an experiment. It didn't do well, but it's memorable.
Yeah.
Like all the, Dream Warrior stuff in Nightmare 3, or Jason taking Manhattan. It's like, no one cares where you're killing, but because it says it in the title, ooh, that's the one inside Manhattan.
Jason versus Predator.
Alien versus
Oh, yes,
Predator.
that's another
Freddy
one,
versus
especially when you
Jason.
get into sci-fi stuff, sure.
Yeah. I mean, if they ever did like an Alien versus Predator versus Freddy versus Jason versus Michael Myers versus Pinhead, um,
Wow.
a big
Battle
old
Royale.
monster,
I mean, I'm sure there's been animations on the internet that have had all that.
or probably
Hmm.
comic book form when in doubt. I mean, listen, if you had Batman fight Predator in comic book form, which actually did happen, I know I got it.
Yes, but Batman also teamed up with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
That was
more
not
than
bad,
once.
though. That was actually pretty solid. I was impressed. Surprisingly impressed by that.
But you do realize that there was also going to be a sequel to Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash from
Hmm.
Evil Dead,
Yeah, okay.
which that never got off the ground. But I would have loved to have seen that, especially with Bruce Campbell in his prime at that time.
And he's still around. I mean, they're figuring out ways to bring Ash back and stuff.
Oh yeah, no. I
Yeah.
mean, the television show was outstanding.
Hmm.
I loved Ash vs. Evil Dead. It could have gone on for more seasons, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you want to go out on top.
Yeah, no. I mean, at the time, it was getting all of its critical ratings. It was probably one of the biggest things Stars ever showed, and it was bloody. Like it was campy. It was more campy than Ghostbusters. Any version of Ghostbusters would have been, but boy, was it bloody. Oh, the violence was just outstanding. The creature making was great.
Mm.
Sorry, I don't mean to gush. It's
That's
just
okay.
when it comes to horror
Oh,
stuff, it's like,
yeah, you're doing okay there. But see, here's the thing: Ghostbusters 2 might have had the best line of all time. Peter McNichol, everything you're doing is bad. I want you to know this.
Everything you
I
do
have
is bad.
always loved the hell out of that line. I've used that before. It's like everything you're doing is bad. I want you to know this.
oh god, it's funny that you bring up Peter McNichol because, just personally, I've been rewatching Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law on
Fair.
HBO Max. I forgot that Peter McNichol was in that.
Hmm. Yeah, who's he? Stephen Colbert was in that.
Yeah, Stephen Colbert normally
Gary
played
Cole, we always
Phil
saw in his
Ken
underwear.
7. Gary Cole was Birdman, and Peter McNichol was X the Eliminator.
Okay, yes. The Eliminator.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Gosh.
my mind is all flooded with cartoon stuff.
that's not a bad thing. So,
You say that now, but we're supposed to be talking horror stuff because of Halloween.
well,
Which,
you could have horror cartoon.
right? Well, I mean, there have been. I mean, from real Ghostbusters to things as stupid as Archie's Weird Mysteries. You know,
Are you talking? Are you talking Riverdale? Actually, how's that? No,
no. I'm talking about an actual animated television show starring the cast of the Archie comics in the vein of like a Baywatch Nights sort of series, where Archie Andrews was pretty much like this roving reporter, and there would be like a creature or an alien invasion or something supernatural of the week per episode.
I remember something vague about that. I mean, I was never into Archie in general, but that does seem very familiar to me.
Oh yeah, no. The theme song will stick with you too. Pretty much any of those shows from I think like what was it? I think it was Ivan Reitman was
Yep.
producer on those.
Well, that would make sense because he did Ghostbusters.
Yeah, let me see. I think he might have been a part of all those. I'm just researching
Yeah.
here.
But how you doing up there?
Bad
While
with
you're looking that up,
Mummies
how you doing, Rob?
Alive and all that sort of all those cartoons.
Yeah.
Doing good. Doing good.
Cool.
Just listening to the man gush. He knows his
Yeah,
comics. He
it's
knows his Halloween. He knows his spookiness.
well, like I said, it makes him happy. Again, I'm too much of a candy ass. You've done horror films, though, right?
I've done one. The movie was called Morai. It ended up being a short, but my particular character was more of the antagonist.
Okay.
And yeah, my particular character was sort of a drifter in this film and went from location to location and was basically creating problems for himself, not only for himself but for other people as well. So, but yeah, there was some elements in the film. It was more of kind of like a thought provoking type horror film, like a thinking man's horror film. But yeah, it was real cool. We ended up like shooting in different locations, Western Pennsylvania, Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Where I think it was Day of the Dead, George A. Romero.
Okay.
He
Yes.
he shot a lot of the Day of the Dead type films in this area, Pittsburgh, Beaver Falls. Now Wampum, there's a location called the Wampum Underground Commerce Center or something like that. It was a place where my friend liked to shoot a lot of his scenes, and in that particular location was where George A. Romero had shot in his zombie film, the zombie apocalypse above ground, and then all the scientists and everybody were down in this location where they were trying to figure out ways to basically bring back mankind, kind of thing. So yeah, that's this particular location was where we shot a few of our scenes. So yeah, it was fun to do.
It's called Moirai.
Exactly.
So,
What we got
Ralph
here?
Bracco, Jade Castle.
Ah,
Ralph Bracco.
yes.
Why do I know that? Why do I know
Ralph
that?
Bracco. He is an actor friend of mine. I met through Scott Goldberg. He does a lot of like what was the Mob Dinner Theater.
Okay.
He's been or not a stand-in, but he's done a lot of like Law and Order. He's like a He's a policeman.
Okay.
You know, does a lot of like police roles, as far as I know. I mean, he's been in a lot of different films. Plays a gangster in a lot of different things.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm looking at his IMDb right now. I
Yeah,
recognize. Yeah, I say the guy looks familiar. The name looks
yeah,
familiar too.
right.
Probably one of those things where I have like 19 mutual friends with a guy. Yeah.
Probably. I mean, a lot of us here in the New York area pretty much are connected in some way. So yeah, Ralph's a really cool guy.
Mm-hmm.
Ralph's a really cool guy, you know, and Jade Castle and her sister. Name slips me at the moment.
Jade and Trinity Castle.
There you go. Right now, they're what was the director's name? They both were involved in a lot of the name escapes me, but he does a lot of like horror films himself on Long Island. Shoots a lot of stuff, but they were involved in the film. Great stuff, you know. I'm thankful that Scott was able to at least get me involved in this particular picture, because we spent nearly 3 years every weekend shooting this thing, you know, and doing a lot of different takes, a lot of different, like, you know, samples of different things. And, you know, what worked was what finally came out. Pretty proud of it myself, being the lead character in this film. It was an amazing time.
And you got I was gonna say, you got Alexander Jameson in there too. He did some episodes of SNL, 6 episodes of Happy. I remember that was a show on like Showtime or something.
Yeah.
Broad City, Boardwalk Empire. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You know, the kids making stuff happen while I was sitting there, like, you know, when I was at that age, like bouncing a tennis ball off the ceiling like Saturday night.
Same here.
Unsinkable. Yeah, and some other guy who has a lot of background credit. He has 272 IMDb credits. Looks like all from background. So
for what's his name?
The guy I was just looking at. Pulling that back up. John Iwanaku.
Ah, yes, he was in fact a principal actor in the film that he played the judge in the Will Smith film, where he was basically the doctor that was treating a lot of the football players.
Concussion.
Oh, concussion. Yeah.
That's right. So in the beginning of the film, John was the judge who presided over one of the, I guess, the trials that was going on between one of the players and the NFL. So yeah, he's done a lot of work, man. He's in the Pittsburgh area himself. So
well, out in Pittsburgh, there was also a show that they did, Rat Baskets. Ryan Hurst was in it, and a few other people too. It centered around a bunch of mountain people.
Yeah, what was that film?
Ryan Hurst. Bollocks. Yeah, I remember Ryan Hurst, because once he didn't really put his ass across my junk. Wasn't crazy about that. Yeah, I wasn't crazy about that. It was accidental. I mean, it was one of those things that it was an unbridled fire code when we were filming. So there was the only way he can get by me was to basically do one of these, and it was like right across the junk there. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't need that. Thanks.
Whatever makes you, you know, whatever.
The Outsiders is what I'm thinking of. That was filmed in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Now that's scary.
What's that? The Outsiders.
Are you there?
I feel like I'm missing something here.
I'm here. I unfortunately came back to the conversation about like junk. So.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. You know what it was? I was looking up some other stuff, so I didn't know if I was missing something there. But yeah, it was. You know, it having Ryan Hurst move his butt across your junk is kind of sort of in the same vein as having like John Voight fart on you. Just these weird things that just happen in life that you're just never expected to happen.
Well, sure. I mean, especially coming from a famous person, you wouldn't expect them to like fart on you.
He just farted and kept walking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I did the same to Bill Pullman once too.
But he didn't say pull my finger or nothing.
He had that look. He had that look on his face for like a split second. It's like, did somebody? Yeah, they did. Okay.
This was not the body horror I expected to talk about today.
It is pretty horrific.
Yes, frightening to say the
Coming
least.
up next week on Tales from the Film Set, bowel movements in film.
Bowel movements and stuff.
What's crap and what's cap? No.
Exactly, yes. In some cases, craptastic stuff. All right, we got to start wrapping this up because this went in, well, pretty much every one of my shows never go in the direction I planned them to. I didn't even get to some of the stuff I wanted to do. But I want to give you guys a couple of minutes if you got anything, final thoughts, ideas, comments. Rob, I guess I'll start with you if you want.
Well, I'm coming events. Really, at the moment, I'm open for
hey, Scott
whoever
Goldberg.
wants. Yeah. Oh, hey, Scott Goldberg.
Scott Goldberg, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing? Or is that
Nothing going on at the moment. I'm open. If anybody has any sort of roles that they need a creepy dude, I'm there.
All right, give me your creepy face. Yeah, okay.
Looks like you had a little acid, sure.
Well, hey, you know.
All right, Ryan, give me your creepy face. Hmm.
Oh,
right.
wow. Don't look at me like that.
Don't ask for it.
No, he didn't ask. He didn't ask for it. I asked for it. But all right. But yeah, Ryan, you got any other final thoughts, ideas, comments?
Well, I mean, we talked about a good amount of horror here. I'm wondering how much horror we'll actually be able to get to go to next week, leading into Halloween weekend.
Yes.
So if anybody has any suggestions as to what you'd want us to talk about in regards to maybe horror movies, scary movies, movies that are so bad that they're creepy, you know,
Like
go ahead and
Daredevil.
let us know. So this way we can actually go ahead and have something a little more researched and less rambling. The more so for me, you know, this way I can focus.
Well, wait a minute. More so for me too, because I
That's
feel like
it.
I'm.
Yeah, I did not. I mean, I didn't put as much time into this one as I normally do. I'll do what I can with it. But okay, all right, Scott. Yes or no? You want to do the original Halloween, the 1978 one? I mean, we can go back to Halloween. I have zero problem with something like that. You know, we can go into deep dive casting. You know, alternative choices. Maybe somebody other than Jamie Lee Curtis was originally cast. That kind of stuff.
Ooh,
Yeah.
well,
You know what?
yeah.
Any objections? You want to roll with that?
Let's do it.
I'm good with that. And who knows? Maybe we'll have JT come back from the dead and he'll join us.
So in this case, yeah, we can definitely do that. But yeah, okay. So we'll do a little bit more of a deep dive into Halloween. Like I said, talk about the what ifs scenarios and something like that. And that'll be next week's show. Cool. All right.
Nice.
So I got to call it at this point. At this point, like I said, my name is Scott Schertzen. Alongside me is Mr. Robert Leckington and Mr. Ryan O'Regan. And this, as always, has been Tales from the Film Set. This is, by the way, the horror Ghostbusters version that you don't know is coming. They do a mashup of basically Egon versus Halloween. That could work. But anyway, we got to call it at this point. Thank you for tuning in. Zingo TV is available across 35 different countries on 4 different platforms there. Have a good night. Take care and be awesome.
Toodles.
Night.